Who the hell done that?
In 1985, the body of 79-year-old Jeannie Muir is found inside her home. Authorities say she stabbed multiple times.
Looked like there'd been a struggle. It was,
What was that?
Looked like there'd been a struggle.
In that same year, Mary DeLuca of Midvale and Drusilla Ovard of South Salt Lake are also murdered. 3 years earlier, Wilhelmina Reed is assaulted and murdered in her home.
It was a horrible thing. You know, not only was she a victim, but the rest of us were victims.
And 81-year-old Bertha Hughes is also assaulted and beaten to death in 1982. Then there's Ethel Lukow, another victim murdered in her home. In 1989, police find 71-year-old Flora Rundle stabbed multiple times. The remains of Thelma Blodgett are exhumed, and police discover she too is murdered. Over the course of the decade, police try to link the murders of the elderly women, like that of Lucille Westerman, who strangled, manages to survive, but dies 3 weeks later. Finally, police piece together 4 of the murders, naming Daniel Troyer as a suspect. Prosecutors call him a serial killer. He confesses to murdering Ovard and Lukow and gets 2 life sentences.
And we are convinced that justice has been done and that we are bringing closure to this now after a long time.
But there's not enough evidence to charge Troyer with Westerman and Blodgett's murder.
We are committed to the families and the victims of these heinous crimes to pursue them relentlessly for decades if necessary.
2 decades later, detectives with Salt Lake County arrest Gary Dean Hilfiger for the murders of Rundle and Muir. And after nearly 40 years on the run, Brian Reed is charged with the murder of Wilhelmina Reed. His trial is pending. But it's the murders of Bertha Hughes and Jeannie Muir that still puzzle detectives.
We believe there was forced entry into the residence, and the nurse entered the residence and found Bertha there inside the residence, deceased.
At the time, Hughes lives across from the old Granite High School. Persons of interest are questioned, but there's no arrest. It's the same thing for Muir. Her case remains open. Pender says evidence found at both crime scenes are being analyzed again.
Something that maybe that was examined, 10, 15 years ago, we can re-examine that today and sometimes be successful with that. It just depends on the item.
Pender says even after all these years, someone knows something and hopes they'll say something. Visit our website, abc4.com, for a link to the Sheriff's Cold Case Unit. For the Justice Files, Marcus Ortiz, ABC4 News.